So I was just working with a patient, and you may recognize this. Like, she really has a hard time. She's in fight or flight a lot. She has a lot of life stuff going on. She's in fight or flight a lot, anxious and stressed and moving all the time. And she can't go into the rest and digest, or the discharge part of her nervous system, and can't seem to help it either, right? So I just can't shut it down and just chill out on the couch with her honey. And there's a couple things I want to talk about this. One is, it's important to train your mind to see what you want it to see. Your brain is negatively biased. It's always looking to solve a problem, and you can really get stuck in the training of it if you don't really fight that, always seeing what's wrong. So if you're someone who's always seeing what's wrong with yourself or outside in the world, you might want to listen to this. Your brain, because it's negatively biased, has to be trained to see the positive, to see the good, to see what is working. And it's a fight that never really is going to end. You always want to be working on being in gratitude and seeing and appreciating what's working, because that negative bias is always going to be stronger if you don't. And you really, if you want to be able to, you want to be able to go, and then you want to be able to relax. And so to have both of those, you have to work really cognizantly on training your brain toward the positive. Okay? So that's one thing. And that comes from just being mindful. So when you're present and you notice things, you're being mindful. There's tools when you get into that loop that you can use to break it. We like 4-4-4 box breathing and 4-7-8 pranayama breathing. Box breathing is where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, you hold for 4. You go slow, and then you do it again. And usually 2 rounds of box breathing will take you out of that spiral fight or flight and put you back into rest and digest. Pranayama breathing is where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and you do the full exhale through the count of 8. Okay, and usually that takes about twice to go through, and that can help reset you. Those are 2 really easy things that you can do in real time. The other thing that you can do is start noticing, if you're someone who notices what's wrong before you notice what's right, start doing a practice of what feels right, what is going well, what you're grateful for, and just start to notice it. When you catch yourself, you just go into the other place, okay? And you start to train into that. And after about, you'll forget, and then you remember again, and then forget and remember. I recommend you write it down so it reminds you. And then there's also something called deep emotional healing that we do. And I just did this for someone today, and I do it for myself too. And it's when you go into the young you. So I'm going to take you through this process, and you might want to save this video so you can come back to it. Okay. So if you sat there and you close your eyes, and let's say there's an emotion that's coming up that you don't like. Let's say and you can put in whatever emotion works for you, right? Let's say that you're frustrated, you're angry, or you're irritable, or whatever it is, or you don't feel supported, or you feel overworked or overloaded or underappreciated, or any of those things. Remember, the emotions are the signposts for what's going on in your subconscious, okay? So let's say that that's happening. Go into and just close your eyes and feel that feeling. The first thing is your emotions are there to be felt. When you feel them, they feel you. Your body recognizes that you're acknowledging and seeing what's going on. That's important. The second part of that is then ask yourself some questions. And the question for this particular exercise is, when's the first time that I ever felt this way? And it's usually before 7, okay? It can be later, but you really just want to think, and you may not even know when it is, but might have a generalized feeling of when it is. So while your eyes are closed and you ask yourself the question, when did I first feel this way? Feel yourself as a young girl or a young boy. That young child has a period of time where they don't feel safe. That's where the genesis of this emotion and then compensation comes from. So go to that young child, and they're going to be sitting there, and who might be feeling this. And this can bring up a lot of tears or emotions. Let it flow. When you go to back to that young child and you see them there feeling this feeling, ask them, see what they're feeling. Get curious. You want to start questioning, like, is there anything they need to tell you? Is there anything that they need from you? And if there is, give it to them, right? Listen to what's said. Don't try to fix this. This is about being present and reparenting yourself while you're young. You can do this for yourself, and then there's some advanced techniques where you can actually use, ask the souls, even if your parents are alive, of your parents to come and be with you through this process. So go back to this feeling, and let's take, for instance, feeling unsafe, maybe, right? And scared. And you're now a grown-up with all the skills and capabilities that you have. So as this present you, because time isn't real, it's not really linear, it's the illusion of it being linear. And this starts to get esoteric. Don't worry, if it's too much for you, it's okay. But you can go back in that time and that emotion, because it's all in your head. Remember, this is all your memory systems. And you can go back to that time where you're, let's say, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, 2 years old, doesn't matter, say 4. You go back to that age and you be there with that young version of yourself, and you ask them what they need, and they tell you. And maybe they just need you to sit there with them and put your arms around them and tell them that they're okay. So do that now. Say, you're okay. You're safe. I love you. I will always look out for you. You can count on me. I'm so happy that you're here. You are precious. You are enough. I love you. Any or all versions of that. Be with that little child until they feel whole and strong again. And then let them know that at any time they need you, you're there. You'll always be there. You're never going to leave them. By doing this, you'll start to unravel these emotional patterns that get stuck in our unconscious, first by bringing them up to the awareness level, and then by going back and rewiring them. And so you can do this with anything. And I'm going to tell you that if you're suffering in any way emotionally, this is going on. Okay? These deep past patterns are unhealed. And when you don't feel safe, this is when you react. This is when you lash out. This is when you self-sabotage. This is when you're tired. Like, I'm just so tired, or I just can't go on, or you want to cover your head in the bed and not get up. These are what these roots are from. And so you want to go through and start healing those in real time if you can. If not, write it down and do it later. So, excuse me, so that you can start to have presence. Oh, I just swallowed my spit. So that you can have presence in real time in a new way of being instead of reaction in creation. So I hope that that's helpful for you. Healing your inner child is so important, and it is a real part of healing. We don't always think about how it impacts our physiology, but that is why we get adrenal fatigue. That is why our hormones drop. That is why we have things overgrowing, is actually the roots of our energy system, our mental, emotional, energetic system, manifesting in our physicalness. I know it's kind of woo-woo, but try it on. See if you like it.